I'm like, you're good at talking.
Yeah.
I'm good at talking.
Yeah.
This will be great. Oh wow, this is like, I have to like be like, hello. Like I almost want like a book, Haley.
For to sit on?
Kristen, say your name.
Kristen?
Yeah, great.
I am?
Yeah.
Alright.
It's so funny, I just like bought this one.
You're really quiet if you want to be louder.
Well, you're not hearing me in here. You're
Oh.
hearing me just like outside.
Here.
You're only hearing yourself. And then also there is a volume here so you can control that volume.
Okay. You look so fancy.
I know, so fancy. But like how cute is this?
I know. It's a little baby.
Here, I'll do a little Instagram story.
This is cute too.
Isn't that cute? Someone sent it to us. Alright, we're about to push record. I'm here with Kristen. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Yay.
Haley, if it's too much trouble, don't worry.
I just grabbed a couple, that way you can get it to the height you want it.
Okay. Thank you, darling.
You have book options.
Thank you for my book options.
You're welcome.
I'm like, maybe I should have just bought another big one, but like, look how.
Hello.
It's so cute, I know.
I think this will be fine. I just want to sound clear. I don't want to be loud, but actually, I think this is perfect. This is hilarious. It's already recording.
This? Yeah, that's the red dot.
Hello.
Hi, it's me.
Okay, we're good?
I think so.
You don't remember what you were going to say?
Nope.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Okay.
Let's make sure this is all. It looks good. Everything's recording. It only took me one time. Usually it takes like 4 times.
Good
Okay,
work.
good.
Thank you.
That's a major accomplishment.
It really is. It really is.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see? Yours is loud. Mine's not as loud. Okay,
Perfect.
we're fab.
Yeah.
Fab.
Okay.
Okay. Happy Monday. It's Thursday, but it's Monday.
Yes, it is Monday in everyone else's world.
Exactly.
And we are here with Kristen.
Welcome.
Yay! I want like an applause, like yay!
Woo!
I'm so excited that you're here. I just want to jump right into things. I feel like a lot of my followers are starting to know who you are because they've been talking about you because you've literally helped change my life. So thank you. But I want to go back to like, okay, like where you're from, how you like got on this journey, and then we can get into like how you and I met.
Okay. Wow, that's a long story.
Well, okay, the Reader's Digest version, right? Just a little bit about you.
Okay, so I grew up in New Jersey. I'm from the East Coast originally. I was always really interested in health and wellness from a young age. So I remember being 12 years old and reading my grandfather's prevention magazines and learning how different foods affected you. And my mom would always say, oh, well, don't even read that because it changes all the time. So you're just going to drive yourself crazy. And I'm like, well, when it changes, I want to know what it changes to.
Right.
I want to keep up with it. So I remember kind of playing around with foods when I was younger, and I stopped eating bagel bites at my grandmother's house, and I was like, I have so much energy, I'm not going to eat these foods anymore. So just at a young age, understanding how like the processed foods kind of made you feel different than, let's say, strawberries or something like that, a whole food. So I always had that in the back of my mind. But then I went through, the typical career kind of progression where you go to college and get your degree and you work in corporate America and you kind of do that thing. So I ended up working in human resources, and it was, there was that level of helping others and being that kind of caretaker in a way. And the money was nice and the benefits were great. And there was something about, I think, it kind of stroked your ego, being able to say, well, I work here and I make this money and I get a bonus and I have a BlackBerry back when they were cool.
Yes.
But there was always something lacking.
Yeah.
So I found that I kind of went through the motions every day, and I went to work, and then it was happy hours. And that was kind of like, how I came back up from kind of feeling down when I was at work. And then I would do like a raw food diet cleanse or a juice cleanse, and just kind of, I had all the pieces, but they just weren't fitting together correctly. So it just didn't feel good. And I continued kind of on that journey for about maybe 10, 12 years. And my weight would fluctuate. And then right after my 30th birthday, I think it was, I decided that another birthday was not going to pass me by without making a change. Like, I cannot just stay in this role, doing this job. It was just a job. Every day was the same. It was stressful. I was definitely experiencing adrenal fatigue. I was 30 pounds heavier than I really needed to be, even though I was doing the thing. So I was going to the fancy gym every day, and, you know, like I said, doing the juice cleanses and reading all the books. That's a thing too. I would get really like stuck on reading everything, but then not like actioning it all. So just kind of like floundering, really, like what is happening? Nothing is really working out the way that I want it to, and something has to change. And everyone had always joked around with me like, oh, you're so LA, when I was living in Philadelphia. And they're like, the way you dress, the way you eat, like you're so LA, as if it was like a bad thing, right? And I'm like, I know, I need to get away from here. This just, like, doesn't work for me. So I did. So I quit my job. I sold everything. I gave myself like a couple weeks in between, you know, moving, and I moved out to LA.
Oh my
And I,
gosh.
me, the dog, and the 2 cats.
And did you know anybody?
I had a friend of mine, Christine. We've
Uh-huh.
known each other since we were like 15,
Okay.
and it was about 9 years prior that she had moved out to LA, and she owns a hair care line. It's
I think I gave her a facial, didn't I?
You
back
did,
then?
yes, you know each
I was like,
other,
wait,
yeah.
I know her.
So we've known each other since we were teenagers, and she had moved out here a while, you know, before I did. So I had come out to visit her a few times, and it was just solidified. Like the minute I was, you know, saw the mountains when I was still on the plane, I was like, I need to live here.
Yeah.
So having her here definitely made it easier, just knowing someone and being able to move out and like have a connection. So came out, got an apartment, and I was kind of like, okay, what am I going to do next? And it ended up that I needed to go back into human resources just because I needed to pay the bills, but I wanted to find a company that was more creative, that kind of aligned with my own interests and things like that a little bit more, which I did. And I did that for about 4 years, but again, something was still missing. Like I
Right.
still wasn't being honest with myself
Yeah.
about what I really wanted to do.
Mm.
So I always knew that I wanted to branch out on my own in some way and work in more of a wellness space, whether that was coaching or a blog. And, you know, back when I was in Philadelphia, like bloggers had just become more popular, and wellness blogs and fitness blogs and things like that. And I was like, I should do that, but I was afraid to do that, to give up the stability that I had. So I came out here and I ended up back in HR, and again, something missing. And I was kind of formulating, like, I knew I wanted to have a baby, and I was like, okay, let me get pregnant. I'll figure it all out when I'm pregnant, right? Things were kind of like shifty at work anyway. And I was like, I'll use that maternity leave, and like maybe I'll just never go back.
Right.
Well, they made that decision for me.
Yes.
So when I was 5 months pregnant, I was let go. We had an acquisition, and you know, unfortunately, my role was eliminated, and that hit hard. But it was also the catalyst to, like, I immediately went home and I enrolled in the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I think it was a matter of days where I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to do what I've always wanted to do. So I enrolled in the class, and every day I sat on my big pregnancy yoga ball doing my modules, and I loved every second of it. Every lecture, every speaker, every book that they had, you know, recommended. Maybe I probably had already read it or had it, or was following that, you know, people like Dr. Mark Hyman and Frank Lipman and Dr. Andrew Weil has been around forever. I mean, he started, you know, when I was a teenager, the Origins counter in the mall was on the mushroom products, and that was him, because mushrooms are magical.
Yes.
So I went in that direction. You know, the universe kind of pushed me in that direction, which was literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I told myself I would, you know, this is what I would do. This is what I was meant to be doing. Getting to share that knowledge that I was always sharing with people anyway. So every time I was hanging out with my friends, or, you know, trying a new diet or a new workout, everyone wanted to know, what are you doing? You know, why does your skin look better? Like, you lost weight. What did you do? What are you eating? Let me see that. What is that? You know, and kind of just always trying those things out first and then sharing my feedback. So to be able to get that certification and do that professionally was definitely like an amazing goal and a fabulous journey.
I mean, I love it, and I remember, because more backstory would be how you and I met.
Yes.
You came in for a facial and became my client,
Yes.
and I remember even from the very beginning, we'd always have discussions on, like, what you were doing, eating, trying, like, both of us, right, is, like, you know, you kind of have, as estheticians know, they're listening, it's like you get to know your clients, and you guys share, like, as estheticians, we're always sharing things, so it's always fun when a client comes and it's like, oh, I'm trying this new thing, like, you know, so it's like, you definitely, that was something, I think, that just came natural to you. So it's
Yeah.
amazing that you found your calling.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Every 2 weeks I came to see you, so we got to
Yeah.
know each other really well.
We did,
And
right?
we talked mostly the whole time.
We talk
It was
mostly
good.
the whole time,
Yeah.
as you know, a lot of estheticians do
Yeah.
with their clients. Yeah, of course you have a couple moments of peace maybe when the massage is going on, but
Yes.
yeah. And it's so cool to, like, I've watched you transform, right? It's like I met you before the baby,
Yeah.
right? And I saw you pregnant, and now after, and
Yeah.
it's like you just the way that you talk and the way that you hold yourself, like, has changed so much. You look freaking amazing.
You
Like,
do.
you look so good.
Thank you.
And that's just, I think because you finally did it the right way. You didn't do something to be quote unquote skinny or fit LA.
Yes.
You just did things that felt good,
Yeah.
which I think we're gonna get into, and your body, like the way you look, is a representation of the things that you're doing in your life.
Yeah.
You know,
so true.
and like seeing you do that, I was like, wait, like I want to do that too, right? I don't want another freaking diet pill, slim fast, starving myself, you know, not eating, hating myself, the negative self-talk. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. And just everything that you were sharing on Instagram was like speaking to me, and I was like, I don't really know what I'm getting into with you when like I first called you, even though we knew each other and we were like friendly.
Yeah.
But I was like willing to take the risk, you know? And I was like, I don't really know what she's gonna do for me.
Yeah.
You know
But
what
I
I
need
mean?
to try
But I
something
need to
different.
try
Yeah.
something rather than, you know, because it's like like I said, done every diet, I've worked out, I've had a trainer, I've had a therapist, like I've done all these things, and still not everything was connecting.
Yeah. All those things really need to be tied together.
They do.
Yes.
Instead of separate.
And that's what I think so many of us have this like disconnect. Like, well, I'm just drinking Slim Fast and eating lettuce and
Gross.
I'm miserable, but like maybe I lost 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you go off, you have a tequila and a piece of bread and
Right.
you gain 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to kill myself, not literally, but like I'm going to shoot myself in the head, like if I'm doing this the rest of my life.
Right.
You know, I was like, I'm now 33. I started working with you, like 7-8 months ago. And I was like, I don't want the rest of my life to be this like,
It's like a hamster wheel.
the hamster
right?
wheel.
You're running and you're running.
and like
and you're
everyone's
running.
like, Casey, you look good and you're beautiful, blah blah blah. You know, that's what the outside world says.
Mhm.
But it doesn't matter. It's how you feel on
Yeah.
the inside. And I was like, but I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't look like total dog shit, but I feel it,
Yeah.
and I didn't want that anymore. So, thank you for helping me.
You're
I'm excited to like really like expand on like what you've done for me and what you can do for all the people and specifically estheticians.
Yes.
Because now I feel like you can help so many of us not, you know, as Haley says, eat a granola bar while we're peeing and drinking a glass of water and answering DMs,
Yep.
and then we're back in the treatment room.
Gross.
Yep.
And no.
Yeah, gross. I know.
And please don't do that. Get off the toilet while you're listening to us. We love you.
Yeah,
At least
right?
eat something besides a granola bar.
Right.
But
That
even,
too.
you know, when we first started chatting, like the idea of actually stopping and taking some time to have lunch was not on the top of your mind.
No.
So even though it
Shattering.
was a suggestion, it was
Seriously.
not something that I thought was going to be easy.
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, you're in that mindset where you're
Yeah.
like, I don't have time for that.
Right.
There, you know, there's things to do. Like, that's not what I do. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I don't do that, right?
I don't
It's-
eat lunch.
I don't eat lunch because I'm busy and I have 10 clients back to back. But it's a bad excuse.
Yeah, I think we just get, it's the habits, and I
Mhm.
think that's where a lot of the change and the growth comes from, is recognizing that habits are habits. They're not
Yes.
set in stone, they can be changed,
Totally.
and they can be shifted so that they're beneficial, and you can create new habits.
Right.
That, you know,
Yes.
when we've talked about, it just becomes autopilot. You don't think about it anymore. It's just
Yeah.
something that, now that's what you do.
Mhm.
This is what I do now.
Yeah.
I take 30 minutes, I eat, I walk around the block, you know, I do whatever it is that I want to do.
Totally.
But yeah, I'm getting ahead of us.
Oh no, but
You're
it's so
good,
it's
yeah.
so great, and the best part of working with you was because if you know me, and I think most people, and maybe probably estheticians, like we don't like to be told what to do, right?
Not tell
Do
Casey what
not
to do. Lord in heaven,
Lord-
I beg you.
All right, Haley knows. Like, do not say, Casey, you need to do this, this, and this, and you're not going to eat meat, and you're not going to drink, and you're going to do this. I'd be like, screw you.
Right, this is not going to work.
This is not going to work. But Kristen had this amazing way of just, like, kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, I don't know, it's like we're doing like a deal where she's like passing me like, oh, here, just like drink this lemon water, right? Like, it's like, oh, here,
I'm
just
gonna leave this right
Yeah, I'm
here.
gonna leave.
Then I put some L-theanine with the water once you start
like,
drinking the water.
right, like, oh, here. And I was like, you know, because it's like, I remember even like we had a conversation and I'm like, I don't even know if I sounded totally crazy or if we're on the, I had no idea. And I was just like, you know, telling you everything. And then you sent me an email and it was like, at the very end of the email, it's like, try putting some like a warm lemon water every morning, like before your coffee. And I was like, oh okay.
Try it.
Try it.
You were
And I
telling
think
her to do it.
And I think it might have taken me a week or like to the next time I went to the grocery store. And now I don't think I have missed a lemon water day since. Like, even on vacation, I'm like, Brandon, we need our lemons, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, not only is it like beneficial for me on so many levels, but it's such a nice ritual.
Yes.
It's such a nice habit.
Yes. And that's part of it too. It's not just what it can do for you health-wise.
Yeah.
It's establishing that routine.
Right.
And also showing yourself that you can stick to something new. So
Yes.
by starting small, then once you kind of stick to, say, lemon water in the morning, then you're like, oh, well, I did that. That's a part of my routine now. What else can I do?
What else can I
And
do?
that's how it kind of builds. And I think, like you, I don't like to be told what to do either. Like,
Yeah.
if you tell me to do something, I'm going to go out of my way to
Not
not
do
do
it.
it because don't tell me what to do.
Right.
I do what I want. So I get that, and I think maybe that's why
Yeah.
it's more of, you know, I hate to say it, more of a manipulation, you know, and that's the relationship building. I have
Yeah.
to get to know you in order to help you make different decisions.
Right.
And, you know, I think that's where also, like, I have a degree in psychology, and I think I've always just had that personality, that kind of helper,
You
know,
do, for sure.
that kind of relationship. I'm able to establish that relationship very quickly and easily with people, and I do have a lot of empathy, and I understand where people are coming from and where they're starting, so that makes it more likely to present things to you in a way that you will accept.
Yes.
You know, and kind of come to your own decisions on those things. Instead
Right.
of saying, don't eat this, don't drink, make sure every day you're doing this, only buy this, because then who wants to do that? That's not fun.
You did quite the opposite, you know, and I'm sure with depending on who you're working with, you're going to talk to them different than you talk to me, which is so cool. So it's so, you know, I hate to say customizable because that sounds like so marketing,
holistic.
but it is
personal.
It's holistic, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
personal.
yeah.
It's personal. You care about these people, you're invested in these people, and you just want to see them do their best, which as estheticians, I feel like we can relate to Kristen because we want people to do their best at home, like with their skin.
Yes.
But as estheticians, we are so bad at taking care of ourselves. We are always last on the list. And I just decided I don't want to be the last on the list anymore. I need to be first. And I want you guys to be first on your list too. Like, if you want longevity as an esthetician, I think you have to be first. Because if not, you will gain weight, you will burn out, you will be depressed, and a long list of other bad things.
Yeah.
Because I was going down that road.
Yeah. And I think you turned that around at the right time, and your work and your productivity improved as well.
It's it.
So you've told me that, you know, even though you've condensed your busy, quote unquote, busy hours to a shorter period of time, you're getting so much more done within that time period, which is important.
So much more. And I'm sure people could look at me and go, well, Casey, you do so much, you've done so much. And yes, I did up until that point, but now I've streamlined it like even more working with Kristen, which is insane. Like, I'm really, like, Haley and I are only working like a full 3 days a week.
Yeah. In
the
office.
office. Yeah, in the office.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean we're not, you know, I'm working on the computer every other day.
Yeah.
But like, we've really been able to streamline it, and it's helped me focus. It's helped me be more creative. And I think all those things just benefit my career and my personal life.
So, I mean, I have a question. So, for someone who's listening, who's thinking about changing their life or going to the next step, like, how do you know if you're even ready to do that?
Yeah. You know, it is so bio-individuality is something that we talk about a lot, and it's same with skin. Everyone's skin is different and reacts differently to certain treatments and things like that, or what they're eating or not eating, or hydration. So really, just kind of, I think everyone can benefit from improving their health and wellness. Eliminating processed foods, really cutting back on sugar, adding in, so always adding in. It's less about what you're taking out, but more about what you're adding in. So adding in the leafy greens and the whole grains and water and, the things that are really going to nourish you. That will automatically crowd out some of the things that are less desirable. But I think if you are, finding that you are always starting over, like, is it Monday? And it's always like, oh, the weekend, I'll start on Monday. And then, Tuesday, Wednesday come, or Thursday, and you're like, oh, screw it, I'll start on Monday, or after the holidays, or after my birthday, or as soon as we move, or once I, get my home off. There's always an excuse.
Sure.
If you're always kind of making that excuse, then today is the day you should start.
Okay.
Because it's just procrastination, right?
Yeah.
You're just making excuses, and as those days pass by, it's weeks, it's months, and then you look back and you're like, what happened? And maybe you gained 10 pounds since you last started talking about this, and it's just talk. There has to be action. So we can read all the books and we can have all the chats, but unless there's action behind it, and most people need someone to hold them accountable. Not everyone went to IIN. Not everyone cares to the extent that I care to learn about, health and wellness and the benefits of certain foods and products and things like that. So that's where I think investing in yourself and having someone else help you and do the work for you is really helpful. And finding someone, I really try to focus on everyone, where they are at the moment, what their goals are. There isn't just a prescription. So it's not like 1,200 calories a day and 30 minutes of cardio and weight training for everybody.
It's not a blanket statement.
No.
It's so opposite of that. It's like so opposite. It's not like you gave me like a diet or routine or food I had to eat. It was just incorporating certain things.
Yeah. What do you like? Let's make it healthier. That's really kind of the approach I like to take.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like so simple.
Yeah.
It's almost
The
like
idea.
too simple. It's like, what? That's all I have to do? And then I think the more that you take care of yourself and the more that you make good decisions, the more you don't want to do those bad things, which Kristen and I have talked a lot about. It's like, or even I was telling you yesterday, like we had the bad habit of after lunch, we'd crack a Diet Coke. And we'd always have Diet Cokes in the mini fridge. And we had the cute little Diet Cokes. And I was like, but, okay, number one, I like them. Okay, but then could I replace it with something else? That doesn't mean I'm totally getting rid of the Diet Cokes. And then one day, I didn't even realize it, but I stopped buying them and they're not in my fridge. And I don't order them anymore when I go out, and I don't miss it, and I'd rather have my matcha. It's like an evolution. I think it's not just like a hard stop.
Yes. It's long term.
It's long term. It's like I'm not dieting anymore. I'm just eating healthy. And sometimes that means I'm eating potatoes, and sometimes that means I'm eating, I don't even know. I'm like, all of the stuff that I eat is healthy, but it's satisfying. I feel like my relationship with food has changed. The way I look at food has changed, which I think I want to talk about because, okay, so Haley and I, when did we start doing our lunch breaks?
Probably like a few months ago,
probably when I started working with Kristen.
Yeah, most likely. So thank you, because now I take lunch breaks also.
Yeah, because it's good for both of us. It's Haley and I were even talking yesterday. It's like, okay, we didn't take a break yesterday. Was it yesterday?
2 days ago.
A couple days ago. We didn't take a break because it was like things were happening. We made busy. We made an excuse.
We shoveled our food in our mouths at our desk in front of the computer, which we really barely ever do that.
We never do that. But it was like we were moving stuff, and it's like we didn't have as much time, and we made an excuse. When we could have literally just come sit in the lobby, and we should have.
Yeah.
And we realized that, which is also like...
It solidifies the decision that you've made to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did you feel that day?
You want to know how the day ended? I was hysterically crying.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Casey and
Well, it's been like a lot of things, but yeah.
There's a lot of things that were going on, but it ended. I was crying. I was upset. Casey was, not at her perfect, not at her best.
Yeah, neither of us were.
Neither of us were at our best, but what we realized was, okay, we can fix this still. So we did wind up going on a walk way later.
Yeah.
And I continued to cry, and we talked, and then by the time we got back, we're like, we promised ourselves, we will not do this again.
Yeah.
We have the tools to take a lunch and take a break, and even if it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Even if it's 20 minutes, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
that,
if we can
that
get
space.
out of the work
Mhm.
environment, sit down, eat a meal, like Haley and I were saying, like, chit chat about not work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like what we
Yeah.
did over the weekend or what we're gonna do next weekend or whatever, you know, so it's not like work.
Yeah.
So I feel estheticians, we're the same way, like I was saying, you're eating a granola bar on the toilet, in between your clients, you haven't had any water, you know, what are some tangible ways that we can get away from that? Because I really, really strongly believe that the industry needs to shift and take better care of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we glorify the busy, right? Oh
Yeah.
my God, I'm so busy. I don't have time. No, I can't do coffee. No, I'm sorry, I can't do a hike. I have so much to do. Even when I'm home, I have social media and I have to do all these things. I just can't. Sorry. We can. We just don't want to.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten used to saying, I'm just so busy. You know, I have clients who are also estheticians, and I'm like, are you completely booked throughout the day, or do you have time for lunch? No, I'm booked.
Yeah.
Do you have to be?
No.
Right.
No, you don't. I mean, you really don't have to be. Like, you can, there can be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour if you're lucky, if
Right.
you can fit that in. Figure out how to shift the day so you can make that happen. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to happen tomorrow,
Right.
but figure out how to work that in, because your brain, your body really need just that pause.
Mhm.
You really need that to reset so that you are your best for, you know, your clients or for your family or your friends. You know, and I think the fact that you guys have those tools, so even later in the day, you were able to say, we need to take a walk.
Yeah.
Instead of like, let's do a couple shots of tequila and forget about this day, you know, and then tomorrow would have been worse,
Yeah.
and that whole cycle.
Right.
You have the tools, so every day isn't going to be perfect. You know, some days maybe you don't have time to do what you usually do, but you have the routine, you have the tools, and most days that's what you're doing, and you can come back to it instead of getting off track.
Right.
I think that's where people kind of lose their way, is when
Yes.
it's all or nothing. It's like,
Mhm.
well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know, supposed to is so judgy, right? I'm supposed to do
So
this and I
judgy.
didn't. And then it's like, well, screw it, I'll just start again on Monday. So staying the course and just, you know, using those tools is so important. But your question really was more about how...
What are like just some easy things that as estheticians that we can do? Okay, like you said, you're talking to a lot of estheticians
Yeah.
and they didn't book themselves a lunch
Yeah.
break. And they're saying, well, I'm booked till June. What do I do, right?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to someone like that? Because I know probably half the people listening are in
Yeah.
that situation.
I mean, I would start to look at your schedule and determine whether or not you have to have that busy, that full of a day.
Yeah.
Or can you come in 30 minutes, you know, earlier, stay 30 minutes later, and accommodate some people who need to, you know, come in on either end of the day, and then have that 30 minutes in the middle of the day for yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, by the time you get home from any job, you know, in any career path, if you're just going from the minute you get in until the minute you go home, you're going to emotionally eat, you're going to stress eat, you're going to eat out of hunger because you're starving at that point, and then you're probably not going to sleep great because your body is working to digest all the food that you just ate, and you just didn't really have that chance to reset. So looking at your schedule and really prioritizing yourself. If you have to book yourself, like, book a slot
Yes.
for yourself.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be an hour. Like, I
Right.
think you guys do a great job with your 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't take 30 minutes to eat. So take your 10 minutes to eat your food, and then read a book that has nothing to do about, you know, skin, or
Mhm.
listen to a podcast like this one, or take a walk outside, or
Yeah.
just do, like, you know, everyone has their phone, their laptop. Find like Tasha Franken and do a 10-minute yoga or Pilates workout or something on your floor. You don't need equipment, you don't need anything. Do Melissa Wood Health guided meditation, do a 10-minute Wim Hof. Like, it will shift your mindset completely. Like, it is like doing the laundry of your brain.
It really
It
is.
just clears everything out, and it's so important. Just prioritizing
It's
that.
so important, and I feel like we make excuses, or it sounds overwhelming, or I don't know where to start, or I feel stupid doing the Wim Hof
Yeah.
breathing, or I feel ridiculous doing the Melissa Wood Health in the middle of
Yeah.
my treatment room.
But it shouldn't
like,
be any worse than crying at the end of the day.
Right,
Like, that should feel pretty
exactly.
bad too.
And
You
like
know?
that did not make me feel great.
yeah, and I think also just coming from a place of, like, not coming from a place of fear, right? I fear that if I don't book myself solid, that I'm not going to have enough money, or I'm not going to be successful enough, or whatever it may be. But if you give yourself that space, like
Yeah.
that literal space, even if it's 30 minutes, you'd be amazing the shift that your mind has, and you'll probably be happier. You might be making more money, you might be more successful because you gave yourself that space, which I think so many people it sounds counterintuitive. Well, Casey, you're taking time for yourself and you're making more money, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
because if you think about it, you may have a client at 3, and if you haven't taken that time, you're irritated, you're shorter with people than you would normally be, you're hungry. I can't tell you how many times, not with you, but I've heard people's stomach growling in like a massage or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's awkward. Like, this person needs to eat, you know?
Yeah.
And they're just, your energy isn't the same. So maybe I won't rebook with that person.
Yes.
Because it just didn't feel nice. It felt rushed. I felt their energy, and their energy was like hectic, and they just wanted to go home, and I could sense that.
Right.
Yes.
Whereas if you take that 30 minutes, that person may have an amazing experience because you're grounded, you're centered, you're, coming from a different place mentally, and that energy is transferred. So then I had an amazing experience, and I'm definitely going to rebook with that
Right.
person. So I think in the long run, and we're always thinking about like the longer term, game instead of the short term.
Right.
In the long run, it will benefit you, and you will have time,
yeah.
and you will make more money, and you will, fill your books. And I don't think you're taking anything away. I think you're only adding.
I agree.
And you're a perfect example of that. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, I love the adding instead of taking away.
Yeah.
And just even saying that, it just sounds positive, right? Or I wanted to go back, you were saying what you're supposed to do, and you were talking about it on Instagram the other day, and I love that so much that you changed the narrative in your own head to, instead of what I'm supposed to do, what I want to do.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to this. Growing up, there was always such a focus on weight, the number on the scale, what size pants you were wearing. My mom was always super thin, just naturally. My grandmother was too, and there was always a focus on, you shouldn't eat that, or you should eat this, or you should do low fat, or you should, it was just should all the time. So I still have, that's like ingrained,
Yeah.
right? And I've had to really shift my perspective around that, because then what would happen is as soon as I would go somewhere where the shouldas weren't around, I would eat my face off. Like, I'd have all of the candy and the processed foods and the soda and everything that I shouldn't have. Like, I get it. I'm going to have it right now, and I'm going to have it all before somebody takes it away. And that, that doesn't help. That's unhealthy. And we do that as adults too, like, oh, well, I'm only going to have my cheat meal on Sundays, and then you feel like shit Monday and Tuesday too, right?
Right.
Or I'm not going to drink until this day, and then you feel like shit for a week after, because if you take the should away, you can do whatever you want, right? We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So when I was at Starbucks, for example, everyone was posting about this matcha drink, and it had pumps of chai and oat milk, and in my head I'm going, you shouldn't have that, it has sugar, the chai is all chemicals, it's just syrupy, like garbage, like you should not have, especially in the morning when you have nothing else in your stomach, and the first thing you're going to do is sugar, like that's so bad. And I was like, fuck it, I just want to eat it.
Yeah.
I just want to try this.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is drinking it.
Yeah.
There's no should. I can do whatever I want. Like, I'm an intelligent adult, and I had to. So I took the picture of it, and it was so good.
Yeah.
And it's not something I would have all the time, because it doesn't make me feel good. So
Right.
I knew getting that, like, I'm not going to feel great. It's going to bother my stomach, and I'm going to get it anyway. I don't care. And I'll probably do it like once a year.
Yeah.
But when I started to type the caption on the picture, it was I immediately went to, I shouldn't be putting this in my body first thing in the morning. And I deleted it because I don't want to reinforce that narrative.
Yeah.
There's no should. You do what you want. You do what makes you feel good. If some days that is something that has sugar in it, or, that's going out with your friends for drinks because you're celebrating, or it's your birthday, or just because it's a Friday and you had a rough week, consciously making that decision is what matters. So it wasn't on autopilot. It's not what I do every morning before I go to work because that's my routine. It was a conscious decision. I don't normally do this, but I really want to try it. So I'm going to, and I'm not going to feel bad about it.
I want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not I shouldn't.
Right.
I want this today.
Yes.
So I'm going to have it.
Yes.
And then tomorrow I'm going to go back to probably my normal routine.
And I will never think about it again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I had it, and it was good, and that was the end of it. And it's just, you just let it go.
You're not obsessing, right?
Not obsessing, which it sounds so simple, right? It sounds so simple, but as soon as you do that negative self-talk, I shouldn't, and you're fat, or whatever you're doing, it's
and
gonna...
then you might as well have pizza for lunch because you already had that sugary drink.
Exactly.
And then just order Postmates and get like Mexican food because you'll just start over tomorrow.
And then maybe a couple tequila shots.
Yes, exactly.
To
Yep.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
And
That's seal the
it's
deal.
so easy to do that. And that's,
It
I've
is.
been there, I've done that so many times, and it's so easy to get back. And again, that's also just kind of self-sabotaging and excuses instead of reminding yourself of what your goals really are at the end of the day. You know,
Right.
does that align with your goals? Continuing that cycle? It doesn't.
Yeah.
So just kind of being conscious and aware and not having that, you know, that feeling of deprivation. Well, all the cool girls on Instagram are posting this matcha and I can't have it because I have a health coach.
And I can't, right, I can't have it.
You can have whatever you want,
Yeah.
you know, and I never want anyone to feel like either, you know, if I happen to follow you already on Instagram and you're, you know, out doing whatever, like do what you want, just understand what that's going to do for you.
Right.
And
Right.
recognize how it makes you feel. Like I love when like people, you know, have a conversation and they're like, well, the last couple of weeks were kind of rough.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you kind of
Yeah.
were having like a little bit of a struggle in the midst of our 6-month program.
A lot of a struggle.
And consider like, is this the right time?
Mhm.
And when you really look at it, like that's the best time.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
that's how you establish healthier habits when things get rough. Because it's so easy to do when things are going well.
To just throw the towel in, right? Because I remember, I mean, here, I'll be totally honest with you guys. Like, I was going through probably some of the most difficult times, like, in my adult life that I've, like, gone through. And I remember every time I'd call Kristen, I'm like, oh, here I go again, just, like, telling her, like, all these, like, bad things. And I was like, is this, like, the right time I should be doing it? I feel like I'm, like, venting and telling her all this bad stuff, and I'm, like, barely hanging on by a thread, and you were not judgmental, and you were so supportive, and like you just said, it's like, this was the best time, you know, because I'm thinking, I didn't lose, like, the weight that I wanted to lose, and I'm not where I want to be, but, like, I still am on the journey to get where I want to be, and at the end of the day, like, that's life, it's a continuous journey, you know? And working with you was it still is, it's such a safe space and not a judgmental, safe space where I can tell you, like, yeah, I did drink too much tequila, and then I realized, like, I don't want to do that anymore, you know, or whatever it may be, right?
And sometimes just saying that, just recognizing how
Yes.
something makes you feel afterwards, just kind of reinforces that, and you become a little bit more conscious the next time that situation arises. So it's not like,
Right.
well, I can't do this again, and if I do, I can't tell her because I already said I wasn't going to.
Yes.
It's you can, and let's kind of talk through it, and then you decide that it doesn't make you feel good anymore. So that's the reason that you make change, not because I tell you to do something differently. So again, it's like not should, it's want.
It's want.
You want to feel different. So
Yeah.
you do the things that make you feel different.
But that doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again, because
Right.
let me be honest again, like, I called you, I told you, yep, drank too much, don't want to do that, don't want to get sucked back into, like, those bad habits. But guess what?
You're human.
I'm human, and the next Friday, I might have accidentally had a couple more tequila shots because the world was opening. My best friend who had been sick, he's not sick anymore. And we were just, we got caught up in, we were celebrating, we got caught up in a moment. We had a great time, I enjoyed it. There was one moment when I woke up in the morning hungover where I was starting to beat myself up, and then I said, no, this is just a learning lesson that, once again, have a tequila shot, but like 2, 3, 4, like, not good. So I think if you look at it as a learning lesson every single time that you quote, I don't even want to say mistake, because it's not a mistake.
No, and you had a great time. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, that goes back to the circle of life and your primary foods, and there was such joy in that moment. Like
Right.
you were seeing friends you hadn't seen and celebrating someone's health, and
Yeah.
it was probably a beautiful day.
It was.
And you were outside, and
Yeah.
a beautiful home that you have, and
Yeah.
I'm sure those things far outweighed like the few minutes of anxiety you had the next day, you know? And
Yes.
you also have the tools to make yourself feel better. So
Right.
you probably hydrated and did things a little bit differently that you would have done in the past.
Yeah.
And you get over it. You
Yeah.
move on instead of saying, well, I have a trip planned after this, and so I guess just maybe in a couple months I'll get back on track. Like
Right.
the next day you were back on track.
Back on track. Yeah, went for a bike ride, had my lemon water, ordered a salad, back on track, and felt good.
Yeah, and that's the consistency that matters.
And didn't feel like I was missing out either, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've talked about all of this stuff, I really want to give the audience a couple things that they can do. I know we were talking about, you know, if they're booking through their lunch. Number one, like, look at your schedule. And even if it's a couple months down the road, start scheduling that lunch now so that when you're starting to book, right?
Yeah.
What are a couple other things, like, for food?
Yeah.
And then also maybe just a couple simple things that anyone can start doing, adding in now.
Yeah, I think convenience is always going to be key. So you want to make it easy for yourself. If you try to establish this like 10-step routine before you leave for work in the morning, or something you have to put together at lunch, like it's just going to be too much of a hassle and you're not going to stick to it. So make it easy for yourself. So maybe that's, you know, hard boiling some eggs or cooking dinners that then can be repurposed as lunch. So if you can throw some, make a big pot of grains. You have quinoa, you have brown rice, you have farro, like get creative with it, try different things. That can kind of create 3-4 different meals for you. So you don't have to think about it. You've made it, it's done. Now what are you going to put in it? Roasted veggies from the night before. If you do chicken, throw in some chicken. You can put all those things in a wrap. You can put some hummus on it, greens. Whatever you have in your kitchen, you can really throw together and make a meal, make something nutritious. So I'm all about repurposing and making things easier. So I think it actually starts the night before when you're making dinner. Start thinking about what you're making for dinner and how you can use that for lunch the next day. And maybe that's, that can even be, you could do, breakfast, you could do almost like half and half. You could do the hard-boiled egg, you could take you were doing the Ezekiel bread, which I think is great.
Yeah.
And the wraps, and then adding in grains, and I think you would started with like the turkey and things like that.
Yeah, now I'm not doing turkey.
Right,
now I'm not doing turkey, which we can get into.
we
We have a whole other podcast just how
Yeah.
I've basically gone from like a meat eater to plant-based.
On your own too.
On my own. This was not Kristen. This is on my own. Haley doesn't even know who I am.
No, I mean, because I watched the whole thing happen.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been great.
Yeah. But if I can do it, you can do it, guys.
Yeah.
And not that you should. I'm doing it because I
You
feel
want to.
I
Right.
feel better.
Exactly.
Do I love a good steak? Hell yeah, but I don't feel good eating it.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yeah. And you just have to be open to it. I think being open to exploring different ways of eating, different ways of living. It's not going to work for everyone. Every kind of lifestyle does not suit everyone's taste or their life. So I think just being open to exploring the different areas. Like if you try to do, say, meatless Mondays or plant-based for 2 weeks, it doesn't have to be forever. You don't have to commit to it and give up who you are, at your core.
Yes.
It's just try it. You might like it.
Well,
Experiment.
I mean, exactly. I mean, like, I did your 2-week reset right after the holidays.
Yeah.
And then I remember talking with you. I'm like, this is just how I'm living my life now, honestly.
Yeah.
Does that mean once in a while I'll have a drink and a bite of steak? Yeah. But overall, I'm trying not to drink as much and not eat as much meat. Not because I should, but because I want to and because I feel better. Like, literally, I feel better. And I haven't lost millions of pounds. I've lost weight, but I look better.
Yeah.
My skin looks better.
You're glowing.
My hair is literally growing back. Like,
It is. It is.
like, I lost hair, you guys. Like, I was not in good shape,
Yeah. Managing the stress is such a big part of it too. And I think, especially estheticians forget that there's that adrenal fatigue that sets in, just going nonstop. And if you're trying to build your business on social media and also fill your day with clients, like where's the time for yourself?
Right.
If you don't build that in, you're going to start to feel the negative consequences of that. So I think making things easy for yourself so that you're not adding to your day. You don't want to make more work for yourself, but you can do a little bit of pre-planning. So if that's on your day off when you're doing, let's say, spa laundry and you do a pot of quinoa and you throw some roasted veggies in a pan and you put them in the oven and that's 40 minutes, you don't think about it, you do nothing with it, it's just cooking while you're doing other things. And then for the rest of the week, you can just kind of throw those things together, whether it's in a salad or, Trader Joe's is great for pre-made, like packaged foods that are not processed. So like the
veggies,
lentils,
right? Yeah.
The lentils that come like sealed in the package. They're just cooked lentils. You can throw them in anything. Again, I think some of the even some of the salads at Trader Joe's are great, but you can do sweet potatoes. You could do, if you have a refrigerator, it makes life a lot easier. But if you don't, most of the things that if you're eating at like 12, 1 o'clock, like they're going to stay pretty good anyway.
Right. Your salad's going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
Your veggies are going to be okay.
Fish, stuff like that.
Yeah, not fish.
Yeah. Not fish. Yeah, not fish. But I think last week on the podcast we were talking about like being mindful of what you're eating, not only for your body, but also like if you're working very closely on clients, like don't eat a whole bunch of garlicky hummus or like smelly fish and then go back to your clients, right? That's not good either. So you need to be mindful of what you're putting in your body for your clients and most importantly for yourself. Because like what we do, we have such physically demanding jobs and I don't think a lot of us, we don't give ourselves enough credit for how physical our jobs are. Like some of us might be sitting down in a stool, but that doesn't mean like you are working hard, you are massaging, you are cleansing, you're moving around and not only that, but you're giving like your energy to this person too. So I just think you have to take care of yourself because there will be a crash and burn point. You know, there was for me. There's been many.
Yeah. And something as simple as like foam rolling. Like I'm
Yeah.
a huge proponent of foam rolling. 10 minutes in the morning or at night, or even have a little foam roller, you know, in your spa that you can just in between clients or after lunch or something like that. Just roll it out and just get like that lymphatic system flowing and get like the muscle fascia, you know, kind of break that up. And whether that's tension in your neck or your back from standing, like there are things that you can do that don't feel so significant in the moment, but really over time add up to
Long term.
A lot of this is just long term,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna be like, well, Kristen, I want to do my foam rolling, but like I only have 5 minutes right now.
do 5 minutes.
Exactly.
5 minutes is fine.
Yeah.
There is no perfection, and that's something that I like to focus on a lot, is that the idea of perfection is really just an excuse. Well, if I can't do it perfectly, I'm an all or nothing kind of person. Whenever I hear that, it's just excuses.
Yeah.
So you're just telling me why you can't do anything. Wouldn't you
Right.
rather do something than do nothing?
Yes.
Right.
You know? So I always say I'd rather half-ass something than not do it at all, because at least that's 50% more than you were doing before.
And I love that so much. Or I don't have 30 minutes.
You do 10. Do what you can do.
Right.
And if you tell me I don't have any time, then you clearly don't want to make any change. So that's something that you need to figure out before we start talking about it again.
Yes.
Because if you're resistant to every suggestion or every recommendation and you can make no adjustments to your lifestyle, then nothing's going to change. So come back to me when you are ready to put in a little bit of an effort.
And
you know?
look at your screen time on your phone and see how long you were scrolling on Instagram and TikTok yesterday.
Yes.
I bet you have 5 minutes.
Yes.
I bet you have an hour.
Exactly.
Oh, gosh.
Exactly. You could do so many things cumulatively in
Yes.
60 minutes that would impact your entire day. So you could do 10 minutes foam rolling in the morning. You could do, you know, a 10-minute breath work session at 3 o'clock before your next 3 clients come in because you're starting to get agitated at the end of the day. You could do, you know, a green juice before you leave in the morning.
Right.
I mean,
There's a million things.
There's so many
you
things
can
you
do a
could
lot
do.
with an hour.
Yeah.
You can
You
do a
could
lot
go
with
for-
an hour.
Go for a walk while you're listening to this podcast.
Right.
That's education. It's work,
Yeah,
right?
it's
and
work.
you're also getting some movement in. There's so many things that we do where you could simply just do them walking.
Yes.
You could talk on the phone. You could listen to a podcast. You can, you know, listen to an audiobook. You can scroll Instagram if you're walking slow enough. You know, just move. Just move.
Yeah, moving is so important. Okay, so could you actually share your morning routine? Of course, I think to a lot of people it's going to maybe sound like a lot of thing and extensive.
Yeah.
But again, like for me, it started with the lemon water, and then every phone call that I'd have with Kristen is like, well, what else?
can I
What
add?
else can I do? And it wasn't like she would tell me, and the next day I was like reading a novel. It's like I would need time to like warm up into it too. But I just want to give you guys like an example of like what Kristen is doing and how it's like benefiting your life.
Yeah. And it happens over time.
Yeah.
So you do start to add things in over time. My morning routine did not look like it does today. And it's funny because Dave, my husband, and I were talking about this, and he's gone on his own wellness journey just from knowing me. And
So cool.
When I met him, he was still eating meat and, you know, didn't really understand how to like eat organically on a budget. So he just thought it was like this like rich people thing that was not like attainable.
Right.
And I'm like, no, let me show you. Like quinoa is like 8 cents a serving, so let's start there. But we were just talking about this and about how our morning routines have just become so elevated, and that happened over time. So I don't want anyone to think that their morning routine should go from hitting snooze and running out the door to what my morning routine looks like.
Yes.
But I think I've got it to a really good place.
Okay.
Good.
And I will, you know, preface that by saying I used to hit snooze so many times that my neighbor down below left me nasty notes on my door and told me to stop hitting snooze because it was ruining their morning.
Stop.
They
Like
could hear my phone.
Oh my
It would
God.
vibrate
And
and
that's-
fall onto the ground because I would hit. It would just like
No.
that was who I was.
That's so relatable because I
gosh.
feel the same way, and I feel like there's so many of us out there like
Yes.
hitting snooze 20 times.
So
We've all done it.
And it's like messes with your head too.
And then you get up and your adrenals are just pumping
Yeah.
because you're rushed and you didn't have time to do what you wanted to do and you didn't do the things you said you were going to do yesterday to start your morning routine, and then you're late and then somebody cuts you off in traffic and then you get to work and your client's late and you're already annoyed and it's just like nothing good happens after that, right?
Yeah.
So I really like took a step back and kind of refined, and now I love my morning. So I get up early, but for me, I typically get up around, I would say between 5:30 and 6. So I like to get up early because I feel like my morning is less rushed. I did that when I was going into the office, but I still do it now, even though I don't have to go into the office. So I like to get up and do my things before the world, starts. I do not look at my phone. So that was something that was really hard for me to do. I know that's challenging, but the benefits are just incredible. So by not picking that up, because you are bound to see something that's going to get your blood pressure going. There's going to be an email, there's going to be a text message or a news headline or whatever it happens to be. It's going to get those, stress hormones pumping. So I do not look at my phone for at least an hour after I wake up.
Okay.
So I get up and I always brush my teeth first because I don't want to drink my lemon water and swallow all that bacteria that's kind of been, hanging out in there overnight. So I always get up, brush my teeth, some cold water in my face. I do warm lemon water as opposed to cold, because when you drink cold water or any cold liquid that early in the morning, it just kind of solidifies everything in your body, and at that point in time you want everything to be moving and flowing. So I do warm lemon water. The lemon gives you the vitamin C, it stimulates the liver and the detox kind of process. And then I'll do my organic coffee that I get on Amazon that lasts forever, so it doesn't have to be like some super expensive, I won't name names, but other influencer $30 coffee
Right.
that I want to try, but is really expensive. I get it on Amazon. It lasts forever. We have a little coffee grinder, so I like to elevate the experience. So do I need to do that? Are there any health benefits to that? No, but it makes it fun and it makes me feel good about it. I do coconut butter in my coffee, so I don't do any cream or sugar. I just do coconut butter, and that gives you the healthy fats to help metabolize the caffeine a little bit slower, so you don't get that jolt and that anxiety. I do a little bit of cinnamon. It's good for your metabolism, and it just tastes good. And it does kind of give it a little bit of a sweet flavor when you're not doing the sugar. But that's not to say that something like nut pods cream or something like that is a problem. It's just I've kind of grown out of it in a way. And then I do chlorophyll water. So I love chlorophyll water. I do like 20 drops of chlorophyll in the water. I do alkaline water pretty much all day long. I do like the way that it kind of alkalizes your pH levels and all that. So that's a whole other topic.
Right.
But if we're getting very specific, I do alkaline water. And then I do 10 minutes of foam rolling. So I try to do that every single day.
Okay.
I will do, Ashley Neese has a really good breathwork program, or I'll do Wim Hof, which I love. I tried to jump in and do a quick, cold shower. I would say I probably do it like once a week, because it's just hard.
It is.
And it feels so good when I'm done, and I could run a mile, but maybe once a week. And then I always try to get in some movement. So if that's a walk at the beach or a walk at the park, or if I don't have time, it's a walk around the block while I'm checking emails. And then I do things with the baby, but then I really do kind of wait until I feel hungry before I eat breakfast. So I'm not like, well, I'm awake, I should make some eggs. I typically intermittent fast until about 11 or 12. I don't really get hungry before that, but if I do, I'll kind of try to push it to that time, because I've noticed the most beneficial kind of results from intermittent fasting for myself in particular. So I was doing all the things and checking all the boxes, and I was like, I just need to kind of take this to the next level. And for me, that really did it. I have more energy in the morning. I feel like everything's just a little bit tighter. Like all of the things, the workouts that I'm doing, I feel like I'm able to see the results from those, since I've also incorporated the intermittent.
It's like enhancing it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I do that. I'll do, I always do my 5-minute journal in the morning, and I do the Book of Awakening. So it's a page a day, and it's just kind of like, a little meditative reading, and then there's a short little, meditation that you can do at the end, but it kind of prompts my mind to be thinking in a way that is grateful and looking at the bigger picture when I'm doing my journaling. So again, that takes like 10 minutes. So my entire morning routine is maybe an hour.
Right.
And then if I take a walk, it's, say another 35 to 40 an hour on a good day. And then I get started, and I feel like I've accomplished so much before I even start working.
Right.
And then
For yourself.
Yes. And then I don't feel resentful about my work either, because I've done all these things for myself, and I feel good, and my energy's good. And it's funny because I'll have coworkers who I'm sure won't listen to this, so I can say this, but they will have, jump right on as soon as they get up in the
Yeah.
morning. They grab they're on like their third cup of coffee. They had like a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, and they're stressed out and they're miserable, and everybody complains about how tired they are.
yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know that life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
You're like, I'm
sorry.
good over here.
Yeah,
I just went
I
for a
did-
walk at the beach.
Yeah, I did a walk. I have 7,500 steps already. I had my coffee, my water. I'm hydrated. I'm fresh. I journaled. I meditated. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're having such a bad day.
Yeah.
Your energy's killing me.
Right.
I try to lead by example.
Good.
I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh, that's okay. You could do this maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just love having that time and that chance to really, like you said, do all the things for myself that make me feel good. Because
Yeah.
then whatever happens throughout the day, how busy that day gets, I don't feel like I missed, a lot of the health benefits that I wanted to get in, because I kind of like preloaded my day.
Right.
So I got those things all in. So even if I do nothing else for the rest of the day,
Right.
I still feel good.
But you're probably gonna do other things because then
Probably.
you're kind of on a roll.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I feel good. Then
else
I'm gonna
can I do?
Right. What
Yeah.
else can I do?
Yeah.
That's my whole thing. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
what else
Yeah.
can I do? Okay, we'll take a lunch and then we go on a walk and then
Yeah.
I have my nighttime routine.
Yeah.
Got my mid-afternoon routine. Like
Yeah.
it just feels nice.
Yeah.
It's things you can implement throughout your
Yeah.
day that make you feel better,
Yeah.
recharge you.
Yeah, and
the
I
whole
just
thing.
and I think so many people think, oh, you're a high maintenance bitch.
Yes,
And
she is.
yes, I am, but but it's not. So would you
You're
rather
doing
be
things for
like quote
yourself.
unquote high maintenance, or would you rather be downing 3 cups of coffee and
Right.
have a bacon, egg, and cheese and be lethargic and
Right.
depressed and angry?
Right. And want people to feel sorry for you.
Yeah, pick your
For
poison.
what? Right. Pick
Right.
pick your poison.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, like I feel like everyone's got their own. Like my morning routine looks similar, but also different. Like I'm reading different books and listening to different podcasts, and I have like my little horoscope thing. And it's like, and then there's some days where I'm only doing the lemon water because I am busy,
Yes.
right? You know,
Yes.
it's like that happens too.
Yes, and that's great. It's
Yeah.
great to be able to do that and to not feel like you messed up or
Right.
you kind of I hate when we say it comes up so often saying like got off track or back on
Yeah.
track, and I think there's a negative connotation to that, but I don't mean it in that way. So like you kind of recognize that you didn't do the things that you wanted to do, so the next day you do them, and there are days where I don't do all of that, and that's okay. That's totally fine.
Well,
it's just most days.
Most days.
This is what I do.
It's flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, and we need flexibility as people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right?
And what works for you too is important. So
Yeah.
someone may be listening to this and say like, well, I hate chlorophyll water, I don't journal, and I can't walk because it's 30 degrees and I live in Alaska. Okay, well, what can you do?
What can you do?
Or
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person, I don't want to get up at 5:30. That's fine.
Don't
Can you get
then.
up 30 minutes earlier, or do you want to do these things at night? Because you can do them all at night too.
Sure.
So really just kind of identifying like what works for you. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you start with one thing, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, what else can I add?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's back to like where the lemon water comes
Yeah.
in. Like just create a habit, and then you can stack new things onto that habit. So you've
For sure.
established this habit. What do you want to add on to that? You want to
Mhm.
start reading, you want to start stretching, yoga. You do that after your lemon water. So now lemon water, yoga. That's
Yeah.
your thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then you kind of build on that.
Yeah, you build on that, which I love, and then there's flexibility, and it can change, and you can
Yeah.
change your mind. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the cool thing about life. Like
Yes.
you're not stuck doing something.
Exactly. And it can change. If this is
It
working
sh-
for you now,
Yes.
6 months from now, you could have a completely different morning routine. And that doesn't mean that you failed. It
Right.
doesn't mean that you went off track. It just means that you adjusted.
Because as people we change, and it's like
yeah.
yeah, and it's like okay, now Brandon's working with you, which I
Yeah.
love, and
Yeah.
like he has his routine, but his looks so different than mine.
Yeah.
But we kind of do them kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's not like okay, we're both drinking our lemon water, both doing
Yes, yeah.
reading our book. It kind of happens to kind of be like that, which is a nice ritual like to have in our home as well, which is like we could have a whole other podcast on. But it just shows that like we're doing similar things, different things, but we're on a similar path.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
feels so good.
Mhm.
So now that we've been blabbing for an hour, I feel like we could talk for like
I know.
4
I know,
hours,
just keep
Kristen.
going.
We could
Yeah.
just keep going. We'll definitely have to have you back on because I
Yes,
feel like
Right.
there's going to be a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of questions. I think people, I think they're going to want to take their life to the next level.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let people know where they can find you, your Instagram, your website, and how they can work with you.
Yes, absolutely. My website is Holistic with Kristen. It's KRISTEN.com. You can book a complimentary health history call directly on my website. You can book it, I have my morning, noon, and evening appointments. So you could do that anytime. And then I also, very active, I try to be active on Instagram. So it's holistic.w.kristen. So someone else had holistic with Kristen. So we have the abbreviated version, holistic.w.kristen. And you can also search through my links in my bio on Instagram. I've got YouTube. I actually just put up a YouTube video I did. Recently I did a call about career and joy. So kind of looking at our primary foods and work. And I just did a Zoom call with someone who's also a graduate of IIN as well. So
Very
I've got
cool.
YouTube, I've got Pinterest for some really good recipes, things that I eat and I love. So everything on my Pinterest is something that I've already made. Rather than just some like random things that look pretty. So I can attest to the ease and the deliciousness of those things. And then Twitter, every now and then, Holistic Kristen. I like to share some of the resources from some of the doctors and professionals that I follow, but mostly Instagram and my website.
Amazing. And then if they remind me, if they sign up, what do they get for your email blast? Let's
Yes,
share
if
all
you sign
that
up
too.
for my newsletter, I have a spring wellness cleanse available, which is you can do it. You can kind of break it up into 8 days, so it's 8 steps that you can take to kind of cleanse your routine for the spring. And you could also do them all in one day if you wanted to get aggressive with it and get serious. But yeah, you can break it up over 8 days and kind of implement that slowly into your routine. And then I have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks, so
Amazing.
try not to bombard everyone. But
I think
I
love your
keep it
newsletters.
interesting.
So if they sign up for the newsletter, they get the 8 day.
Yes.
Are you calling it a reset?
a wellness cleanse.
Wellness cleanse
Yeah.
for free.
Yes.
Plus, you're getting her newsletter.
Yes.
So you guys need to go check her out. Also, make sure if you decide to work with Kristen to mention that we sent you.
Yes.
Casey, Skin in the City, Haley, Glow Skincare,
Yeah.
somebody
All of
should
us.
know who we are.
All of us in our
Make sure,
personalities.
because she's gonna hook you up.
Yes. You will get the friendly Glow Skincare LA discount.
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
then
20% for anyone who
20%
signs
off.
up. Yeah.
Yep. So, and I'll also we'll be linking this in the show notes. I'm gonna be sharing on my Instagram, but please go follow Kristen. Check her out. She's amazing. She's gonna change your life if you start working with her because she changed mine.
Aw.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
coming.
proud of you.
Aw, I'm proud of you. It's amazing to watch you, and it's so cool to just watch you grow, helping me grow. It's amazing. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool beans.
Amazing. I feel like we could keep talking
Oh,
forever.
I
So
know.
many
Is
things.
that only an hour? Because we could have talked about home environment, relationships.
I know.
But, we need to
Movement.
just quarterly.
I was
or
literally
something.
thinking you need to come on, you need to be a regular
We
guest.
can. Maybe if people have if there's a certain area that a lot of questions, if everybody's asking about home
Right.
environment or everybody's saying what's primary foods or Casey, let's talk more about what you did. We can certainly dedicate certain
Right.
podcasts to just that topic.
Right, if they want to hear
Yeah.
the full story.